another Transformers review. Yeah, we're back. Yes, it is April 1st. Happy April Fools. But this is no joke because we have a new Transformer that we're going to be reviewing. Actually, he's not new. It's to be right. I guess this is a fifth party Transformers figure right now because the original version of this came from, again, MMC's Feral Rex, and then we got tons of other iterations. We've seen Jinbao come up with this, and this is no other than Predaking, or the knockoff version of MMC's Feral Rex. We have seen Jinbao, do their version of this, but this is from Teng Yang. This is the Beast something combiner of Teng Yang. There we go. So this is the Beast Cool Team. That's the name of that. So if you want to see some of the box pictures, I threw away the box already, so it's in the community page. Go ahead and check that out. But we got a Combiner War size Predaking, which is pretty interesting because I believe that MMC's Feral Rex was something close to that line. I do not own an MMC Feral Rex, but there has been a 1:1 version of this, and that is Neo Arts. And is this a 1:1 copy of MMC Feral Rex? Is this a KO of Neo Arts? And these are the things that we're going to be answering in this review. But honestly, right at the get-go, I'm just going to say to you right now that this is a somewhat simplified version of the MMC Feral Rex or the Jinbao Predaking. So there has been some limitations to the transformation of this, and there are some, very slight changes, and most of that would come into its color. So if you take a look right now, the color of Tantrum and Ramhorn is kind of swapped. So Ramhorn would be more yellow right here, and Tantrum most likely would be red or dark orange, but we have them swap right there. Another thing is that you have that very weird silver nose of Razor Claw, and you have, of course, the very weird part of that is there's that sixth member, the Sabretooth, which is Catilla. They just added that Sabretooth, but it's not really part of the, the combiner team of the Predacons. And then you have Dive Bomb as a backpack, if you can see that. Now, one of the things that I mentioned, that there are simplifications to this, and you notice that the wings or the feathers of Dive Bomb cannot be extended or angled into a certain section where you could use it to spread the wings further. It is just really one piece of big plastic, but it's not really a big problem since the original G1 version of Predaking didn't have that feature. You can remove Dive Bomb, and this would allow Teng Yang's Predaking to stand more secure because Dive Bomb is definitely back heavy. Another thing that you'll notice to this toy is that a lot of sprue marks are there, but it's pretty much the same as the Jinbao version. I mean, the plastic quality is somewhat a little better than Jinbao, maybe because it's smaller and that made the plastic more condensed or more sturdy. Other than that, the coloring is, going back to the coloring, it's really, I wouldn't say bad, but it's not good. You can see that there's some fades right there. The silver is not really that great. There are some paint, smudges everywhere. But this is definitely going to be a customizer's dream. I mean, if you're here to repaint Transformers, if you're a big fan of repainting figures, shout out to Oscar and I forgot the other friend of mine in Facebook, but they're pretty good at customizing Transformers. So I'm gonna try to you know, try to find that later on. But yeah, that's it. Another thing, when you take this out of the box, Razor Claw's thighs are pushed inward. So one of the things that were asked was, I mean, some of the people in the chat, I mean, in our group, mentioned that, can we extend the thighs of Razor Claw and, you know, reveal this section so that you can either bend it or make that section taller? Yes, the answer is yes. And when you get this outside of the box, it's actually pushed in, and you have to really just pull it out. But in order for you to do that, you have to remove the two leg pieces, which is Tantrum and not Ramhorn. Sorry, I made a mistake. This is Headstrong. I could be wrong. I have to go ahead and, you know, review my Predacons. But yeah, so you can definitely pull that right there. Yeah, I believe it's really Headstrong. I can remember now. Ramhorn was from Blaster. Yeah, I remember now. So there. And another thing that I noticed is that when you take this outside of the box, you have this weapon right here, and the weapon seems to be, they added this section, this section where you can actually have him hold it as a gun instead of having it as a blaster on the arm, where you can, we're going to review this later. If you notice, this is the oversized Jinbao version. There is that peg where you can actually snap this in, and that would be like more of a blaster hand, an arm cannon. But we don't have that here. Another thing is that these weapons seem to be added extra to this, but it's still an extendable piece of weaponry right there. You can extend that, so that's pretty cool. The huge sword is not so huge anymore, and the cool thing about this is you can actually let him hold it without it being a problem with the weight. I like that the sword is actually not shiny, and it's matte, or almost not shiny, but it's not metallic, I mean. So that's one thing that I like about that. It's pretty cool. That's cool in my book. I like that non-metallic look. The arm, or sorry, the hands are very simplified. Compared to the, what do you call this? Compared to the upgrade kits that we've seen so far for MMC from the Jinbao Predaking, it's very simplified. It looks exactly like the version 1 hands of the Jinbao Predaking. There are no sections right here that would close Razor Claw's mane and make it more compact. It's already extended like that, kind of like the version 1 of Jinbao. Another thing, you got a lot of sprue marks over here and there. It doesn't light up. Very bad coloring on the face. I hate the eyes on this thing. It's just terrible. I don't like it. But head sculpt wise, I think it's pretty cool. So again, a customizer's dream, a recolor, a person's you know, very good pet project if you like coloring things, Transformers, figures, you name it. I mean, this is going to be a big project for you to play around with. Plastic wise, like what I mentioned, it's not that bad. I mean, a lot of people would say like, yeah, this looks bad, it looks terrible, you know, in the pictures, but it's not. I mean, once you get a hold of it, it feels a lot more stable, it feels a lot more thicker than the Jinbao plastic. Although there are some very thin and almost like crunchy parts, but it's not that bad at all. If I would rate the plastic quality, this would most likely be a good 7 to 8. But again, I mean, it's something of an acquired feel. You can go ahead and be the one to attest to that. There are, mind you, some articulation. So this goes to Razor Claw's thigh section. There is a thigh swivel right there. You can have a knee section swivel right here, and you can definitely have the toes pointed like that. So there are some articulations to this, but due to the due to it being extremely back heavy, with the backpack, okay, with the backpack, it definitely will keel backwards and fall on you. Another thing that I mentioned, that this is somewhat simplified. If you notice right now, this section right here is actually a panel, and it folds, and this panel goes down over here, this section, so that this would not be doing that, right? There are these legs hitting each other, and in the original Feral Rex version, you would actually fold this down here so that this section would be free. Thus, there is no need for you to bring this section down. So they kind of simplified that and just made it one big piece of plastic. So you really need to bring this thigh section of Razor Claw down there. Let's try to turn him around. I'm not gonna put dive bomb right now because I just want to make him stand. Or you know what? Let's try to put him there. Let's try to put dive bomb right there. Give it that good old Predaking feel. But I'm gonna tell you, it is really, really back heavy. Let's put him here, and let's now go to our size comparison. So we mentioned that this is a Combiner Wars size robot, and here's the proof. So this is Combiner Wars Computron, two big bots that came out of the last few seasons of Transformers, and they scale pretty well. If you ask me, they scale nicely together. There you go. They look great. They look great together. So if you want a cheap alternative in getting a Transformer or a Combiner, a Predaking that fits the Combiner Wars scale, then I would suggest this. Again, it's a display piece. I wouldn't say that you're going to play with this 24/7. It's just something to go ahead and display and put around with the rest of your Transformers, because yeah, I mean, it's not the best. It's not the best knockoff out there. But Combiner Wars size, yeah, it fits the bill. It fits that scaling right there. Let's bring in another Combiner, but this one is the Legend scale. So this is Legends class Combiner Menasor, Legends class Menasor right there. And if you ask me, they scale great together. They look fantastic together right there. That is awesome. And with that, because they scale great with one another when it comes to these combiners, yeah, let's try to take a look at how this really big Predaking right here, this Combiner Wars Predaking, look like with some other Decepticons. Here is a Voyager class Decepticon. There you go. And that's Blitzwing right there. And that looks good. I mean, if you ask me, I mean, that is how these figures would look like. Let's bring in this deluxe Transformer right here. We got trying to find a deluxe right here. Trying to find a deluxe Transformer in the pile. Here's Legacy Crankcase. It's been a while we've seen this guy right here. Legacy Crankcase. Stay. There you go. That's Crankcase. There you go. And let's try to bring out their leader, Decepticons. Here's one of my faves. Mighty Galvatron. Mighty Galvatron. Yeah. Galvatron. The old Galvatron. There we go. So, if you ask me, I like the scaling of Teng Yang's Predaking with our current Legacy line. It goes well. I like it. It goes really nicely with them. So there, just take a gander at that. So we're going to take Computron out of the way. And let's take away Menasor. And I'm gonna take these guys over here, set them aside. Okay. The next question is, we have his nemesis. How does Teng Yang's Predaking fare well, or fare against our hero, Commander Modesty himself, Skylynx? There you go. And if you ask me, this is the pair that we really want to see fighting. And that is the scale that we need. I mean, we've seen the Commander class Skylynx scale versus the Titan class Predaking from Combiner Wars from Hasbro, and honestly, he is small. He's not Titan quality versus material. But with Teng Yang right here, this is that one-on-one that we want to really see. Prepare yourself, Predaking. Superior forces have arrived. Like that. He's my favorite. I like Skylynx. He's really cool. Aren't you a good boy? There we go. So they look great together. Again, not really amazing in the articulation side of things and color side of things, but size-wise, scale-wise, I mean, Teng Yang is knocking it. I mean, this is great. Look at that. So, goodbye, Predaking. All right, let's get you out of there, Commander Modesty. Now, one of the other things that I really felt bad about when I was a kid is like, why are these animals gigantic and superior? I mean, the Dinobots should be far stronger than Predaking because they're dinosaurs. They're just mere animals. So let's take a look how they look against, or how they scale versus the Studio Series Dinobots. We got Grimlock. We got Slag. And come on, boy. We got Sludgy. There you go. And if you ask me, that's how it should be. I mean, the Dinobots shouldn't be combiners. They should be gigantic, mean machines, prehistoric, robotic terrors that Decepticons really hate battling because they're just super strong.
Ye Grimlock, kill you! Raw! Destroy Predaking!
There we go. I like the scale. I really like it. That is pretty cool. That is so cool. I like that. There we go. Say goodbye, bozos.
You know, bozo.
Alrighty. And let's put these guys over here. Oh my god. Slag just fell. So one of the other things that I also liked about was, I guess it became a big part of why I love watching Gal Gaigar, is because when I saw Predaking first back in the early 90s, and then Gal Gaigar, I just noticed that they had the same chest. So here is Gal Gaigar versus Predaking. You can see Predaking, Teng Yang Predaking is towering over our King of Braves, but you know, I bet you the King of Braves are gonna just, you know, the King of Braves is just gonna put a hole in Razor Claw's chest right there. Just kick Predaking's butt with a broken magnum. There you go. Really nice look, really nice scale. All right, go away. Time to go. He's one of my faves. Fave. So you can just see how big the Jinbao Predaking is, and we're going to have that comparison soon, but this is just to give you a reminder, folks. This is the sword of the Jinbao Predaking, and the sword is taller than the Teng Yang Predaking already. So this is, it's just telling you how massive that Jinbao oversized Feral Rex is. So if you think that that Feral Rex was the Predaking for your collection, I really think you might want to, you know, just think twice about that and weigh your options about finding a cheap alternative to having a Predaking in your collection. And I'm saying maybe Teng Yang would fit the bill. We're going to take a quick pause. We're going to try to separate Teng Yang Predaking into the individual beast modes and the individual beast machines. And we'll be right back after these messages. Folks, we're back and we got our Teng Yang Predacons in their beast modes or their animal modes. Earlier I mentioned that the plastic quality in combined mode, in Predaking mode, was pretty okay. But I think I spoke too soon, because I think the problem or the drawback is in the individual mode. So all of these modes right here, all these bots in their animal modes feel very light now. So the heft and the bulk, and I felt the thickness earlier, was really because of the accumulated combined plastic that you have in Predaking mode. But now, as you transform them into their individual separate alt modes, the crunchiness, or the, what do you call this, the plastic quality slowly appears as very light and almost dangerously thin. There are some sections right here that are very thin, like these sections from Razor Claw right here, and there are pegs that you feel that if you move them a lot, it might break. Another thing is that they come in a very loose, well, it's not loose, but it doesn't feel sturdy as you move these things around. They have enough tightness to hold them in place, but it really just don't feel super tight and sturdy. So that's Razor Claw right there. And oh my goodness, this is the Jinbao Razor Claw. There we go. Try to see that. And it is hefty. There are a lot of panels, and if you notice, this is so simplified that there are a lot of missing things here. One of the key things that you would notice that there are no more articulation when it comes to the hind legs. In the Jinbao Razor Claw, or the oversized Feral Rex version, you got a lot of articulation going on right here. And there's a ball joint movement over here too. This has nothing. It's just one big chunk of plastic held together by a screw on a very thin plastic leg that if you mistransform, it could snap. So that is a danger right there. So honestly, the separate modes on these things are not the best. You will definitely get these folks, these transformers, for their combined mode. Here is Rampage. Rampage is, again, very simplified, going to the hind legs. I noticed that most of the hind legs on these transformers, the cats, they have very little articulation and very thin plastic down here, which is a danger again. So that same goes with our 6-member Sabertooth Catilla, or whatever you want to call this person, or whatever you want to call this cat right here. Limited articulation. There you go. Very light, very flimsy. Not really flimsy, but very thin plastic down there. The sturdiest among the bunch would be Dive Bomb. And Dive Bomb, again, does not have wings that would... The feathers of the wings won't really extend. The back feels heavy. The plastic here feels cheap compared to, let's have the oversized Jinbao dive bomb. This is what we were talking about. So the individual feathers of that wing can have that articulation that we're looking for. Another thing is the claw, the talons. You can angle that like so, and it gives you that swooping action. While with the this one, it doesn't have any articulation at all, which is a total bummer. Simplified. Again, folks, simplified. Like 7 out of 10 simplification, like what I mentioned earlier. Going to our legs, Headstrong and Tantrum. I really now appreciate Headstrong with a Jinbao Predaking. A lot of articulation, a lot of movement. The mouth actually opens, the neck moves. There we go. Great articulation with this fella right here. Compared to this, aside from the colors being swapped with Tantrum, you can't open the mouth. There are no articulations, or there would be a ball joint here, but for the toes, for the hooves, no. Same goes with this. It's just a big chunk. It's just a one big chunk of plastic, and the articulation would be here too. This section is very simplified, as you can see. It just snaps here. And if we take a look over at this side, it actually goes here with the top part of Tantrum or Headstrong. Very simplified Transformers right there. This is again the Jinbao, oversized. And then finally we have Tantrum. Same goes with Headstrong. Very simplified. Very simplified. So let's pose them together. You know, simplification set aside, you can put the weapons again on these fellas. I just don't want to. I feel it is a hassle just removing it. Just knowing that they're already simplified just made me feel like, I don't want to do that. So let's take a look and compare them with other Transformers in their alt mode. So here is Fangry, one of my faves. And Fangry, compared to these folks, still looks small. The Teng Yang Predacons look bigger. There you go, let's put that there. And let's get a Dinobot again. So that's one huge lion if you really think about that. So this is Triceratops, that's a lion. That's pretty big. There you go. And let's grab one more. Here is just a quick comparison between a recent deluxe class figure from the Legacy line, Evolution. Here is Scrap Hook, and that is one humongous lion if you really think about that. And this is a very puny car. Run for your lives. There we go. So we're going to transform these folks into their robot mode when we get back. We'll take a quick pause. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we're back, and we have our Predacons in their robot modes. Now, this would be the weakest out of all three modes. So the best mode would definitely be the Predaking mode. The second okay mode would be the alt modes, the animals, the Predacons, the beast modes. But this is just, oh my goodness, this is just ugly. Don't get it. Don't get it. If you're going to have them in the robot modes, I don't want you to get it. You know, I'm just telling you right now, it is not worth it to get these things for their robot mode. That is just terrible. The eyes, this should be the eyes of Tantrum. But they placed these two other yellow things down there that makes it look like those are the eyes, and it looks droopy now. It's just ugly. Absolutely ugly. And it's so flimsy. I mean, it's not flimsy flimsy articulation, like it's loose movement, but no, it's just too light to the touch when it's in robot mode. So that's your robot mode right there. Here we go. We have Rampage. Again, the face sculpt is just, oh, disgusting. I don't like that. It's just not worth it. This is not what you want to get this thing for. It's really just the Predaking mode. That's it. This is Razor Claw, and he is so simplified right there. You can put the skirt down the back, and that's even simplified. I know that there are a lot of panels and movements here with this mode in the Jinbao, but it's now simplified on this one. Here is Headstrong, and that's not even looking really good. This is the I don't like. Look at that. Dive Bomb is smiling. It's so weird. It is just really weird. There. And finally, the sixth member, which I really don't think we need him anymore. But the face on this one is just really downright weird. And if you notice, the saber-tooth face looks so wide. It's unnaturally wide. It doesn't look great. So this is the robot mode for our Teng Yang Predacons, and roughly they are the size of a leader class figure in the Siege or Legacy line. Sorry about that. There you go. It's pretty big. They're falling all over the place. They're not stable. There you go. So another thing, they're not stable. So let's bring in another one. Here's a deluxe class figure. Skullgrin, one of my faves, because he's metal. See, they're just falling apart. They're just really not that great with stability. The reason for that is because they have these for legs. They're simplified, overly simplified toes or feet, and not really great. So there you have it. Very bad robot mode. I am totally not happy with that. Disappointing. A very disappointing robot mode for these guys. We're going to take a final pause after this very big disappointment, and we're going to put them back together into their Predaking mode and have our final say. We'll be right back. Alright folks, we're finally back, and we have transformed our Teng Yang Predaking back into his combined mode, and we have here in comparison the Jinbao Into the Sky, or the oversized OS version of the MMC Feral Rex from Jinbao. And really, compared to this figure that Teng Yang is offering, the Jinbao is really the superior one, both in transformation, because the transformation of the Jinbao Predaking is very similar to that of the MMC Feral Rex. I was playing around with it when I was transforming it for the very first time in a long time, and of course I noticed that I don't have the crotch piece. It's somewhere missing in the pile of boxes right here, but it's very similar to the MMC transformation. I mean, mind you that there is that oversized head of Tantrum and Headstrong, but other than that, it's really the same transformation. With the Teng Yang, the Teng Yang has very simplified. So earlier I mentioned that there are some simplified versions of this, but as I closely transform Jinbao, it is overly simplified. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Scale wise, it's fun to play with your combiner wars, with the legacy figures. It's great to be displayed in combined mode, but talking about the details and the really great features and playability factor, I would really go with something that is more what do you call this, close to the Feral Rex, which right now, I mean, the most available one and the most affordable one out there would be the Jinbao. I mean, if you can get the Neo Arts version of this, which is the 1:1 copy, that would be great. If you can't afford the MMC Feral Rex, then I think the best option for you to go with would be the Neo Arts, but we don't have that. So let's try to compare our Teng Yang Predaking with some other Predakings that we have in the collection. We have, of course, the Weijang Sky Soarer, and I really think that the Sky Soarer is the one for me. I mean, it's taken from the Hasbro version, but looking at it, it's more blocky, it's more what do you call this, the head sculpt is just really fantastic compared to these two. I mean, Feral Rex gave their own little spin to Predaking, but this actually looks good to me now compared to this. I mean, the size is big. If they can maybe, if there would be another player out there that would scale this down to this level, that would be fantastic. But compared to what we have right here, and to all three, the KO Predaking line has gone a long way compared to the ones that we had back then, because back then we had this, and it is just by far a very big improvement to what we have in the olden days of, you know, KO Transformers. So this was the KO G1 Predaking back in the early 2000s. You know, this was the Predaking that we had for KO collectors. So from what we look now, you know, looking at right now, it's a very big improvement. So let's get rid of these fellas right here. They're very big. Look at that awesome looking Weijang Predaking right there. One of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites. And we're gonna put Teng Yang here beside the Jinbao, but we're gonna get rid of the Jinbao right now. It's too heavy. This thing is just Titan class heavy. Let's get rid of that. And one of the other questions before we wrap this up is, how does Teng Yang fare with the Legacy Combiner? So we have, of course, our Legacy Menasor. Yeah, Menasor. And you can see Menasor is almost the same size as Teng Yang. I'm gonna try to close up that thing right there. Try to move the camera a bit. There we go. And they look great together. I mean, Decepticon combiners being together just really looks fantastic. So, final say with Teng Yang. How we put Menasor to the side. Alright, let's grab Teng Yang Predaking. So Teng Yang's Predaking is really great in combined mode. He is great to be scaled together with other Transformers such as Skylynx, Menasor, Computron, Combiner Wars. Anything in that scale or in that range would really look great together with Teng Yang Predaking. Drawbacks, some things that we don't like. Definitely the color, the weird color scheme is not for me. The plastic in separate mode and in individual bot mode and in the beast mode is just really not working out. It feels cheap when you disconnect them and you put them in their separate modes. The best mode out there really is the combined mode. Other than that, I wouldn't really recommend it. I won't recommend it to get it. No, I won't. There are better, what do you call this, alternatives right there. If you can get the Neo Arts, like what I mentioned earlier, then get the Neo Arts. If you want a good Predaking with really nice transformations, but it's KO, then go with Weijang or with Jinbao. But Teng Yang is going to be the last of the things that you want to get. I'm doing this, folks, so that you could really think about it. Let me do the whole review, because it's not something that you want to spend on. I will just keep this in my collection like this. I won't separate it, but you know, if you're a fan of customizing Transformers or trying to recolor Transformers, then don't go for an arm and a leg when you're buying an original one. Then go ahead and get this so that you can, you know, just really spend more on the paint and the other materials that you have. It's going to be cheap. It's going to be affordable for you to customize these things. Now, will we feature any other KO versions from Teng Yang? Let's see. I mean, if they're going to come up with other combiner figures, why not? Let's go ahead and give that a shot. But right now, Teng Yang, out of all the KO companies that have been doing combiners, is not really, you know, in my, you know, radar right now, after experiencing the Teng Yang Predaking. So we're going to give Teng Yang Predaking a 5 out of 10. So with that, folks, if you've been liking all the videos and seeing the videos that we've been dishing out in this small little channel right here, thank you very much for supporting. If you have not subscribed, subscribe now. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the bell notification so that you can get notifications about our latest cool videos that are going to come out. So thank you very much for watching, folks. Until next time, till all are one, peace out, rock and roll.